Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. Trump imposes travel ban on nationals from 12 countries, including Afghanistan. White House claims move to protect Americans from dangerous foreign actors. Amid an escalating row with academic institutions, Trump signs a proclamation to restrict foreign student visas at Harvard University. U.S. threatens Columbia University's accreditation, citing anti-Semitism concerns. U.S. President Trump calls Russian President Putin. Hints of no immediate peace between Russia and Ukraine, says Putin plans retaliation for Ukraine's stunning drone attack. All party delegations are returning home after concluding highly productive visits to key partner countries, successfully showcase India's continued fight against terrorism. In sports, Novak Djokovic downs Alexander Zverev to set up French Open semi-final against top seed Yannick Sinner. U.S. President Donald Trump signed a new travel ban preventing people from a dozen countries from entering the United States, reviving one of the most controversial measures from his first term. There are an additional 7 countries whose nationals face partial travel restrictions. The countries facing total ban were found to be deficient in screening and vetting and were determined to pose a very high risk to the United States. Here's a detailed report. U.S. President Donald Trump signed a proclamation on Wednesday banning the nationals of 12 countries from entering the United States, saying the move is needed to protect against foreign terrorists and other security threats.
Today, I am signing a new executive order placing travel restrictions on countries including Yemen, Somalia, Haiti, Libya, and numerous others. The strength of the restrictions we're applying depends on the severity of the threat posed. The list is subject to revision based on whether material improvements are made, and likewise new countries can be added as threats emerge around the world.
The move bans all travel to the United States by nationals of Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. It will go into effect on June 9th. Trump also imposed a partial ban on travelers from 7 countries: Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. Some temporary work visas from these countries will be allowed. Trump said the measure was spurred by a makeshift flamethrower attack on a Jewish protest in Colorado that U.S. authorities blamed on a man they said was in the country illegally.
The recent terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, has underscored the extreme dangers posed to our country by the entry of foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas. We don't want them. Very simply, we cannot have open migration from any country where we cannot safely and reliably vet and screen those who seek to enter the United States. But we will not allow people to enter our country who wish to do us harm, and nothing will stop us from keeping America safe.
The ban will, however, not apply to athletes competing in the 2026 World Cup, which the United States is co-hosting with Canada and Mexico, as well as the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. The proclamation is the second time Trump has ordered a ban on travel from certain countries. He signed a similar order in 2017. During his first term in office, Trump announced a ban on travelers from 7 majority Muslim nations, a policy that went through several iterations before it was upheld by the Supreme Court in 2018. Anamika Pandey's report, DD India. All right, our correspondent Jessica Taneja joins us to get us more details. Jessica, good morning. To begin with, help us understand what does the term deficient in screening and vetting mean when it comes to the travel ban by Donald Trump, and also what more do we know about the ban? Till when will this ban be in existence?
Preeti, you recall, when Donald Trump took to office the last time in 2016, he had brought in this travel ban. At that time, he had called it Muslim travel ban from various
Yes.
countries, and pretty much includes all the countries that are mentioned here, and particularly the people from Afghanistan who had worked along the United States during their occupation in Afghanistan for 2 decades almost. Those Afghan nationals are also kind of struggling at this moment to get refugee visas as well as any kind of help. But with this, travel ban in place, what is understood is that this will continue to extend till Donald Trump is in power. Now, they had faced the challenges when Joe Biden was elected again when Joe Biden was elected as the president of the United States for the first time in 2020. He had then repealed it. But this has now come into focus again, if you ask, for reasons where the United States has seen during the weekend there have been various anti-Semitic attacks, as well as various other instances where the American administration felt compelled to bring in this ban again. This is something Donald Trump was mulling over. There are no timelines attached to it. It could face legal challenges. But what we know so far is that this is not something new, and this is not the first time that the Trump administration has introduced a travel ban on countries, which include, of course, the likes of Afghanistan as well as even Myanmar to that effect.
All right, Jessica, do we also know of any exemptions to the travel ban from these particular 12 countries?
I'm not aware of any exemptions yet, but what I can tell you and what the White House has said so far on exemptions is restricted and limited to people who already have valid visas, people who are living in the United States and are important to the country's workforce, as well as their polity, as well as other kinds of systems that have absorbed the people from these countries that now seem to face a travel ban in the United States. That will continue, but it has specified very categorically, if you read through the White House press statements, it says that all the travel ban countries were looked into specifically because of the lack of vetting processes and having systems in place that would ensure transparent and smooth travel, as well as not sending in any of those nationals that could be a potential threat to American people and its soil. So that seems to be the particular motivation right now to select these few countries where now travel ban restrictions remain indefinitely till there are legal challenges and the Trump administration changes its mind again.
All right, Jessica, we'll leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. And US President Donald Trump ramped up action against US universities. US banned visas for all foreign students coming to Harvard and threatening to strip Columbia of its academic accreditation, claiming it ignored anti-Semitism on the campus.
In a furious escalation of his campaign against the academic elite, President Donald Trump has issued an executive proclamation banning all the new international students from attending Howard University, effective immediately. The White House order, issued late Wednesday, suspends the entry of foreign students to begin studies at Harvard for 6 months. The proclamation also threatens the visa status of current international enrollees, nearly 20% of the student body. The announcement follows earlier failed attempts to cut off Harvard's access to foreign students. The administration has already stripped $3.2 billion in federal funds and vowed to exclude Harvard from future government contracts. The Trump administration also issued a warning to Columbia University, threatening to strip its accreditation over allegations of anti-Semitism on campus. Earlier in March, the Trump administration put $400 million of Columbia's funding under review, prompting the university to implement new policies to address anti-Semitism concerns. Losing accreditation would deal a devastating blow to Columbia, cutting off federal funding, student financial aid, and research grants. The university confirmed it is addressing the concerns with its accrediting body while asserting that Columbia is deeply committed to combating anti-Semitism on its campus. Bureau Report, DD India.
US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke on phone on Wednesday about Ukraine's drone attack on Russian airfields over the weekend and also the Iranian nuclear issue. After the call, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social and shared some details about the conversation. Trump noted that during the 75-minute phone call, Putin stated that Russia will respond to Ukraine's attack on several Russian airports. Trump said that the two leaders talked about the Ukraine conflict and other global matters. Trump said that Putin warned him that he would seek revenge for Ukraine's drone attack on Moscow's bomber fleet, adding that the Russian leader was not ready for any immediate peace. Trump stated that the two sides also discussed the Iranian nuclear issue and told Putin that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. Now, this was the second phone call between Trump and Putin since May 19th. Though both Russia and Ukraine have resumed talks in recent weeks, a ceasefire still appears distant. Pope Leo and Russian President Vladimir Putin had their first phone call discussing the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Pope Leo urged Russia to take steps towards peace, emphasizing dialogue and humanitarian aid. Putin expressed gratitude for the Pope's willingness to help settle the crisis. Putin claimed Ukraine is intent on escalating the conflict, citing sabotage against Russian civilian infrastructure, while the Vatican highlighted the need for aid and prisoner exchange. Pope Leo previously offered to host Russia-Ukraine negotiations at the Vatican, but Russian officials have expressed skepticism about the Vatican's suitability for peace talks. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's chief of staff, Andriy Yermak, met U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington, D.C. The meetings came on the same day that Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke to U.S. President Donald Trump. The conflict in Ukraine is intensifying after nearly 4 months of cajoling and threats to both Moscow and Kyiv from Trump, who says that he wants peace after more than 3 years of the deadliest conflict in Europe since World War II.
Definitely, again, 3 years. It's a long period of time. But believe that Ukrainian nation, Ukraine, we are living, we are continuing to fighting. What happened in the last weekend demonstrated that we are strong enough, we are able to achieve just and lasting peace. We account very much for continuous support of our partners, first of all of United States. And I think the end of this war, the just and lasting peace, it's a very important, not just for Ukraine, because we defend not just our freedom and independence. We defend Europe, we defend free world in our continent, and this is a very important to not lose after these more than 3 years, the faith that Ukraine able to win this war.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un vowed to unconditionally support Russia in all areas, including in its conflict in Ukraine. Meeting top Russian security official Sergei Shoigu on Wednesday, Kim expressed expectation and conviction that Russia would, as ever, surely win victory in the sacred cause of justice. Shoigu also thanked Kim for sending North Korean troops to fight alongside Russian forces, trying to retake the Kursk region from Ukrainian control. The two sides agreed to continue to dynamically expand relations. Russia and North Korea signed a sweeping military deal last year, including a mutual defense clause during a rare visit by Russian President Putin to the nuclear-armed North. Both sides said that they wanted to expand and develop Russia and North Korea ties into powerful and comprehensive relations of strategic partnership. Shoigu also met with North Korean military official Park Jong-chong. Wednesday's visit is Shoigu's second to Pyongyang in less than 3 months. The White House strongly criticized the forecast that Donald Trump's sweeping policy bill could drastically increase the national deficit, while Elon Musk renewed his attacks on the president's agenda on Wednesday. The nonpartisan CBO projects Trump's main bill would increase the U.S. deficit by $2.4 trillion by 2034. Stephen Miller, Trump's deputy chief of staff, rejected the CBO's report as biased and said the projection does not reflect reality. Trump's key bill for a second term faces congressional opposition. It plans to extend 2017 tax cuts by increasing debt and reducing support for low-income Americans. Meanwhile, tech magnate Elon Musk reiterated his disapproval, having previously branded the bill a disgusting abomination. The bill passed the House but faces tough opposition in the Senate, where talks are intensifying. Trump wants a Senate vote by July 4th. You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, US vetoes UN resolution demanding immediate and unconditional ceasefire in Gaza. Khamenei rejects US demand to end uranium enrichment, stalling nuclear deal talks. Alarming funding gap threatens 2030 ocean protection goals, report warns ahead of the UN summit.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. The United States vetoed a UN Security Council demand on Wednesday for an immediate, unconditional and permanent ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza and unhindered aid access across the enclave. The text was put forward by 10 countries on the 15-member council. Other than the US, the remaining 14 council members voted in favor of the draft resolution. Israel has rejected calls for an unconditional or permanent ceasefire, saying Hamas cannot stay in Gaza. It has renewed its military offensive in Gaza, also seeking to free hostages held by Hamas since ending a 2-month ceasefire in March. Acting US Ambassador to the UN, Dorothy Shea, told the Council before the vote that this resolution would undermine diplomatic efforts to reach a ceasefire that reflects the reality on the ground and emboldens Hamas. A US and Israeli-backed group operating 8 sites in Gaza pushed back the reopening of its facilities set for Thursday as the Israeli army warned that roads leading to distribution centers were considered combat zones. Israel recently eased its blockade of Gaza, but the United Nations says the territory's entire population remains at the risk of famine. The Israeli army warned against traveling on roads leading to distribution centers, which are considered combat zones. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, officially a private effort with opaque funding, began operations a week ago. The UN and major aid groups have declined to work with it, citing concerns it serves to the Israeli military goals. Israeli authorities and the GHF, which uses contracted US security, have denied allegations the army shot at civilians rushing to pick up aid packages. Food shortage in Gaza has propelled fresh international calls for an end to the war, but a truce between Israel and Hamas remains elusive. The Israeli military maintains that its forces do not prevent Gazans from collecting aid. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said on Wednesday that Tehran will not abandon its uranium enrichment, rejecting a key US demand aimed at resolving a decades-long nuclear dispute. The US proposal for a new nuclear deal was presented to Iran on May 31st by Oman, which has mediated talks between Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and President Donald Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff. After 5 rounds of talks, several hard-to-bridge issues remain, including Iran's insistence on maintaining uranium enrichment on its soil and Tehran's refusal to ship abroad its entire existing stockpile of highly enriched uranium. Tehran says it wants to master nuclear technology for peaceful purposes and has long denied accusations by Western powers that it is seeking to develop nuclear weapons. U.S. federal prosecutors have accused two Chinese nationals of smuggling a dangerous biological pathogen that has the potential to be used as an agricultural terrorism weapon into the United States for research. The U.S. Department of Justice on Tuesday identified the pathogen as Fusarium germinarium. This is a fungus, it said, and it was classified in scientific literature as a potential agro-terrorism weapon. In a statement, it said that the fungus causes head blight in some crops and is responsible for billions of dollars in economic losses globally each year. U.S. authorities say that Zhanyong Liu brought the fungus during a visit to his girlfriend in July 2024 to research it at her University of Michigan lab. FBI evidence shows the couple discussed sending biological materials and lab research before Liu arrived. Canada has prepared possible reprisals while the European Union reported progress in trade talks on Wednesday as new U.S. metal tariffs triggered more disruption in the global economy and added urgency to negotiations with Washington. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney said that Canada is prepared to strike back against the U.S. if talks with Washington to remove Trump's tariffs did not succeed. Carney told the House of Commons, and I quote, "We are in intensive negotiations with the Americans and in parallel preparing reprisals if those negotiations do not succeed," and I unquote. Canada's labour union, Unifor, called for retaliatory tariffs, while Ontario Premier Doug Ford urged Carney not to sit back and let President Trump steamroll. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum on Wednesday said that Mexico will announce measures next week if there is no agreement reached between the U.S. on the steel and aluminum tariffs. She also called the U.S. announcement to raise the metals tariffs to 50% from the 25% introduced in March, citing the free trade agreement Mexico and Canada share with the U.S. On 3rd of June, Donald Trump signed an executive proclamation to activate the tariffs, which was set to take effect on June 4th. The Trump administration is urging countries to submit their best offers to avoid additional import tariffs set to take effect in early July. Cuban students call for a boycott of classes over new mobile internet tariffs that include steep fee for those who exceed their monthly data limits. Cubans say the tariff hikes implemented by state telecom company Etexa on May 30th will leave them with only a few gigabytes of data per month, as purchasing additional data will be prohibitively expensive. Students have been particularly angered by the new pricing system, under which top-ups must be paid in hard-to-come-by dollars or at a steep increment in Cuban pesos. On Tuesday evening, student leaders at the University of Havana's Mathematics and Informatics faculty called for a boycott of classes in order to try to force Etexa to annul the tariff hikes. Hundreds of Venezuelans deported from the United States to El Salvador under an 18th century wartime law must be given the chance to challenge their detentions, and the Trump administration must facilitate the legal challenges. U.S. District Judge James Boasberg stopped short of ordering the Trump administration to bring the hundreds of Venezuelan migrants currently being held in a mega prison in El Salvador back to the United States. The judge gave the Trump administration 1 week to detail how it would facilitate the deportees' filing of legal challenges. In his ruling, Boasberg also wrote that the individuals were deported without adequate notice of the right to contest their removal. The Venezuelans were deported in March after President Trump invoked the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to swiftly deport alleged members of the Tren de Aragua gang without going through normal immigration procedures. A judge in El Salvador ordered the provisional detention of prominent lawyer Ruth Lopez. Lopez was arrested by Salvadoran authorities last month over allegations of embezzlement during her time as a state official. The Attorney General's office linked Lopez to a case against the former president of El Salvador's electoral tribunal, Eugenio Chicas, who was detained in February over accusations of illicit enrichment. Christosil has sharply criticized President Nayib Bukele's hardline security policies and warned of possible irregular use of public funds by his administration. A U.S. appeals court in Seattle is reviewing the constitutionality of President Donald Trump's executive order to restrict automatic birthright citizenship. It's the first time a federal appeals court has heard such a case. Trump signed the order on January 20th upon returning to office. It instructs federal agencies not to recognize U.S. citizenship for children born in the U.S. unless at least one parent is a U.S. citizen or green card holder. Critics say it violates the 14th Amendment, which grants citizenship to nearly all born in the U.S. Lower courts had blocked the order, while the Supreme Court is also reviewing whether judges can issue nationwide blocks. If enforced, over 150,000 babies could lose U.S. citizenship each year. Donald Trump sometimes gets carried away with his talks while praising his chief of staff, Susie Wiles. During a summer soiree at the White House on Wednesday, Trump called her the most powerful woman anywhere in the world. But he continued his joke and said that Wiles had so much influence that one phone call and a country is wiped out, though he quickly added that we're a peace-loving nation. Trump's comments about Wiles came just as she became the subject of a federal investigation into an alleged hacking and impersonation attempt.
I want to thank the great chief of staff, most powerful woman anywhere in the world, they say. She got the most powerful woman in the world. One phone call and a group of people, I better not say it. I was going to say one phone call and a country is wiped out, but we're not going to say that because we're a peace-loving nation. We are a peace-loving nation. Susie Wiles, where are you, Susie? There she is. But 6 months ago, we had a nation that was as cold as ice. It was cold. The whole world was laughing at us. And they're not laughing anymore, that I can tell you now. Because of the people here tonight, we have the hottest, most talked about country anywhere in the world.
U.S. President Donald Trump ordered an investigation into what Republicans claimed was a conspiracy to cover up Joe Biden's declining cognitive health during his time in the White House. The move is the latest in a long-running campaign by Trump to discredit his predecessor, which has been joined by Republican Party politicians and their cheerleaders in the conservative media. But it also comes as a growing chorus of Democrats begin to acknowledge the former president appeared to have been slipping in recent years. Trump's claims also of cover-up were boosted by news that Biden is suffering from an aggressive prostate cancer, with some voices on the right insisting without evidence that the diagnosis must have been known some time ago to those close to the former president. Meanwhile, former U.S. President Joe Biden decried the current administration's order for an investigation into the alleged conspiracy to cover up his declining health as a distraction. Sharing a statement with the news agency, he said that the decisions made during his presidency is about pardons, executive orders, legislation and proclamations. Any suggestion that he did not is ridiculous and false. The crew of a cargo ship carrying around 3,000 vehicles, including 800 electric vehicles, abandoned it off the coast of Alaska after a fire broke out on board. The 22 crew members were safely evacuated from the ship after they failed to put out the fire. The vessel, Morning Midas, was located 300 miles southwest of Adak in Alaska, the Coast Guard said on its X account. The Liberia flagged ship left China's Yantai port on May 26th and was on the way to Lazaro Cardenas in Mexico. Electric vehicle-related fires on ships are challenging to extinguish due to the heat gathered, regenerated and also risk of reignition, which could persist for days. The Coast Guard said the aircrew and a cutter ship have been sent to assist with the situation, and 3 vessels were already on the scene. The world is falling short on its marine conservation goals, with less than 10% of the needed funds being spent to protect the oceans. Despite agreeing to designate 30% of the world's oceans as protected areas by 2030, currently only 8.4% are covered. Moreover, according to a new report by environmental groups, some $15.8 billion is needed every year to achieve the 30 into 30 target, but only $1.2 billion is currently being spent. The report has called the funding gap alarming, that must be redressed, or in fact at the UN Ocean Conference that will kick off from June 9th in France. Less than 3% of all marine conservation areas globally are considered truly protected. Some forbid all forms of fishing, while others place no rules. As per reports, redirecting subsidies from harmful activities could also help fill the funding gap. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world now. Strawberry season has arrived early to Britain this year due to warmer days. The favourable conditions have meant sweeter, larger and more shapely strawberries arriving earlier on the supermarket shelves this year and lower prices for the shoppers. Retailers have welcomed the development, noting increased demand and consumer satisfaction. Public commemorations marking the 36th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre were held in Taipei, offering a poignant reminder of the 1989 pro-democracy movement. The event saw Chinese troops and tanks open fire on thousands of peaceful demonstrators gathered to demand political reform, government accountability and freedom of expression. Industry analysts warn that the rapid rise of artificial intelligence could lead to displacement of up to 85 million jobs globally this year, as businesses adopt AI technologies ranging from automated customer service bots to advanced robotics to cut costs and improve efficiency. The job market faces significant disruption. Experts emphasize the need for reskilling programs to help workers adapt to the changing employment landscape. You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. Trump imposes travel ban on nationals from 12 countries, including Afghanistan. White House claims move to protect Americans from dangerous foreign actors. Amid an escalating row with the academic institutions, Trump signs a proclamation to restrict foreign student visas at Harvard University. U.S. threatens Columbia University's accreditation, citing anti-Semitism concerns. U.S. President Trump calls Russian President Putin. Hints of immediate peace between Russia and Ukraine, says Putin plans retaliation for Ukraine's stunning drone attack. The all-party delegations are returning home after concluding highly productive visits to key partner countries, successfully showcase India's continued fight against terrorism. In sports, Novak Djokovic downs Alexander Zverev to set up French Open semi-final against top seed Jannik Sinner. The government of India, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, completes 11 years in office. The government is celebrating the first anniversary of the third term of the government. On this occasion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared a video on social media platform X. It highlighted the government's major achievements in the last 11 years. Prime Minister Modi said over the past decade, the NDA government has taken path-breaking steps to uplift several people from the clutches of poverty, focusing on empowerment, infrastructure and inclusion. All the government's key schemes transform the lives of the poor. Initiatives like PM Awas Yojana, PM Ujjwala Yojana, Jan Dhan Yojana and Ayushman Bharat have enhanced access to housing, clean cooking fuel, banking and healthcare. The push for digital benefit transfer, digital inclusion and rural infrastructure has ensured transparency and faster delivery of benefits till the last mile. Over 25 crore people have defeated poverty due to these schemes. Prime Minister Modi further said that the government remains committed to building an inclusive and self-reliant India where every citizen has the opportunity to live with dignity.
इन 11 सालों में तेज प्रगति के साथ एक नया इतिहास भी रचा गया है।
India's global outreach on Operation Sindoor reached its final leg. While 5 out of 7 all-party delegations returned to India, the other 2 delegations are engaged in high-level discussions to strengthen India's fight against terrorism. In the last leg of the visit, the all-party delegation led by Member of Indian Parliament Dr. Shashi Tharoor met bipartisan co-chairs of Indian caucus in the House of Representatives, Rokhanna and Rich McCormick, and vice co-chairs Andy Barr and Mark Vesey in Washington, D.C. The delegation briefed the caucus members of the cross-border terrorism faced by India and India's strong and resolute stance in the fight against terror. The congressman expressed unequivocal and bipartisan condemnation for the terror attack in Pahalgam. They expressed support for India's right to respond to terrorism in the spirit of zero tolerance against terrorism. And now we are getting you visuals where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is leading a special tree plantation drive in the national capital. This is a special tree plantation initiative. It is June 5th today, World Environment Day, and on this occasion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is leading a special tree plantation initiative at Bhagwan Mahavir Vanasthali Park in the national capital. And through this, he is reaffirming India's commitment to environmental stewardship and also green mobility. As we can see, Prime Minister is planting a banyan sapling here in the visuals under the Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam initiative. Now, talking of this initiative, then this initiative was launched by the Prime Minister. This is a unique initiative combining environmental responsibility with a heartfelt tribute to the mothers. Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam. This was the campaign that was inaugurated last year on the occasion of World Environment Day on June 5th, where the Prime Minister planted a tree, a people tree to be precise, at Buddha Jayanti Park in Delhi. Through this initiative, that is Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam, this campaign, it is emphasized the importance of collective efforts to improve environment. So here we saw Prime Minister planting a banyan tree sapling in the national capital, and this is a part of the Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam campaign, and this is in line with the environmental awareness which the government vouches for. And also this sapling is planting of the sapling is part of the Aravali Green Wall project, which aims to reforest the 700 kilometers Aravali range. Talking of this project, then this project is a major initiative to spread green cover in the 5 kilometers buffer area around the Aravali Hill range in 29 districts of 4 major states, including Delhi, Rajasthan, Haryana and Gujarat. It also aims to boost biodiversity of the Aravalis through afforestation, reforestation and also restoration of water bodies. So that was Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the occasion of World Environment Day today on June 5th, planting a sapling in the national capital. And as we told you, World Environment Day is celebrated globally on June 5th, and it raises awareness and also the action for that has to be taken in the future to save the environment, and also marking the World Environment Day calls for collective action to combat pollution, there are many individuals who have taken up the onus of preserving the environment on their own. One such live inspiration is Radheshyam Goenka, better known as the Tree Man of Dibrugarh. Take a look.
This is Radheshyam Goenka, the green warrior of Dibrugarh for many years. Goenka has been a key figure in Dibrugarh's tree plantation drive. So far, he has planted and nurtured more than 32,000 trees in the tea city of Assam.
During the year 94, Dad had come to Bangalore, and in my locality Koramangala, we saw the government or the local corporation people planting a few trees on the roadside. At that place, they were not providing any barrier, also protective barrier. 3-4 months down the road, the plant starts growing. He comes 1 year later and sees the plants are flourishing. Fantastic. That gave him a little bit of drive. Okay, if the government can do it, why can't I do it in my place?
Inspired by the successful tree plantation campaign in Bengaluru, Radheshyam Goenka hit the trees in a mission mode, planting saplings and then nurturing them with proper fencing. He has also gifted around 50,000 saplings to individuals and organizations who want to do a plantation drive.
Mr. Chiranjit Barua, who is the owner of Kroma Hydroponic Nursery, who himself is a brilliant person and very knowledgeable about plantations and other things, he named him the Tree Man of Dibrugarh. And generally in Hindi he is called Prakriti Premi or Vriksha Mitra, all these names. And his family is now has a good introduction that we are from the Tree Man's family.
The widening of roads and re-engineering of drains in the city has led to the loss of about 5,000 trees. Undeterred, he continues with his tree plantation drive, creating awareness for protecting environment and also the need to fight climate change.
This Good Samaritan's work has not only helped in preserving the pristine environment of Dibrugarh, but also has helped in preserving the pale blue dot in this universe, the Earth, the only home we know till now. We dedicate Dibrugarh team, Subina Roy, DD India.
On the World Environment Day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared a video on social media calling for deepening efforts towards protecting our planet and overcoming the challenges. He also complimented all those working at the grassroots to make our environment greener and better.
पर्यावरण में संतुलन ये हमारी पुरातन परंपरा का एक अहम हिस्सा है। हमारे यहाँ कहा गया है यत् पिंडे तद ब्रह्मांडे, यानी जो पिंड यानी जीव में।
India added 2 more wetlands, Kichun in Palodi and Menar in Udaipur, to the Ramsar list of wetlands of international importance. With these additions, India's total count of Ramsar sites now stands at 91. India has the highest number of such wetlands in Asia. Union Cabinet Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bhupendra Yadav, announced the news on X. He wrote, and I quote him, India has 2 new entrants to the list of wetlands of international importance. The latest to join the list of Ramsar sites in India are Kichun in Palori, Rajasthan, Minar in Udaipur, Rajasthan again. Now, this addition takes our tally to 91. The achievement is yet another testament to the fact that Prime Minister Modi's focus on environment conservation is successfully helping India build a greener tomorrow. Congratulations, India, especially the people of Rajasthan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also welcomed the news, describing it as a sign of India's strides in environmental conservation, powered by public participation and happening with great vigour. Wetlands are the areas where water covers the soil or is present either seasonally or throughout the year. Now, these ecosystems are vital for maintaining biodiversity, mitigating floods and filtering pollutants. They serve as habitats for a rich variety of plants and animal species, especially birds, fish and amphibians, and are crucial to the health of the planet. On the occasion of World Environment Day 2025, renowned Indian sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik unveiled a striking art installation titled Beat Plastic Pollution at the iconic Puri beach in Odisha. The sand art was made with hundreds of discarded plastic bottles meticulously arranged to deliver a compelling visual message highlighting the urgent global crisis of plastic pollution. The art spread the message of cleanliness not only to raise awareness but also to galvanize the community, tourists and policymakers into taking concrete action to reduce plastic usage. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a meeting of Council of Ministers on Wednesday, the first after Operation Sindoor and days before completion of his first year in his third term in office. In each of these meetings, different government departments made detailed presentations about the schemes, programs and their progress. In line with his commitment to boost rail infrastructure and connectivity in Jammu and Kashmir, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit the region on 6th of June, where he will inaugurate the Chenab Bridge and visit the bridge deck. Thereafter, he will visit and inaugurate the Anji Bridge. He will flag off Vande Bharat trains, and he will also lay the foundation stone, inaugurate and dedicate to the nation multiple development projects worth over 46,000 crore rupees at Katra. The architectural marvel Chenab Rail Bridge, situated at a height of 359 meters above the river, is the world's highest railway arch bridge. It is a 1,315 meters long steel arch bridge engineered to withstand seismic and wind conditions. A key impact of the bridge will be in enhancing connectivity between Jammu and Srinagar. Through Vande Bharat train moving on the bridge, it will just take about 3 hours to travel between Katra and Srinagar, reducing the existing travel time by 2 to 3 hours. The Anji Bridge is India's first cable-stayed rail bridge that will serve the nation in a challenging terrain. India will host the 4th meeting of the India-Central Asia Dialogue in New Delhi on June 6th. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will host the foreign ministers of the Republic of Kazakhstan, the Kyrgyz Republic, the Republic of Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and the Republic of Uzbekistan. The ministers will further discuss strengthening of relations between India and Central Asian countries, with particular focus on trade, connectivity, technology and development cooperation. They will also share perspectives on challenges to regional security and other regional and global issues of mutual interest. The foreign ministers will also participate in the India-Central Asia Business Council meeting being held on June 5th by the MEA in collaboration with FICCI. The India-Central Asia Dialogue is a manifestation of mutual interest on the part of India and the Central Asian countries to forge even closer, wider and stronger partnership in a spirit of friendship, trust and mutual understanding. Foreign Minister of Tajikistan, Sirojuddin Mohiruddin, arrived in India. His official visit to India and a while back we told you about the Prime Minister encouraging the countrymen by planting a sapling in the national capital on the occasion of World Environment Day. It is June 5th today and the day is observed as World Environment Day. And here we can see Prime Minister planting a sapling, and the Prime Minister is also flagging off the green buses which symbolize India's commitment to environmental stewardship and green mobility. Earlier in the day, we saw Prime Minister plant a sapling in the national capital, and here the Prime Minister is seeing flagging off 200 electric buses under the Delhi government's Sustainable Transport Initiative. Now, this initiative promotes clean urban mobility and symbolizes the nation's collective responsibility towards ecological balance. So here the Prime Minister making an effort in inspiring the countrymen to make the country more greener and cleaner. The Prime Minister earlier in the day planted a sapling under Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam campaign, and he also flagged off 200 electric buses under the Delhi government's Sustainable Transport Initiative, which in fact promotes clean urban mobility, and it symbolizes the nation's collective responsibility towards ecological balance. So those were that was Prime Minister in the morning today, encouraging and inspiring the countrymen on the occasion of World Environment Day. It is June 5th today. Let's talk of other updates. The flood situation in India's northeastern Assam has shown significant improvement, with flood waters receding in many areas. However, the death toll has risen to 14 and over 600,000 people still remain affected across 21 districts, with Sribhumi being the worst hit district, affecting over 200,000 people. Relief efforts are underway as 405 relief camps and centers have been set up, with over 41,000 flood victims taking shelter in 190 relief camps. Over 14,000 hectares of crop area remain affected, and more than 500,000 animals are facing the brunt of the flood waters. The India Met Department has issued yellow alerts for all northeastern states, predicting moderate rainfall for the next 7 days, with heavy rainfall likely at isolated places in Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur and Tripura. Meanwhile, in another northeastern state of Sikkim, relief and rescue work is underway after heavy rains and landslides halted the efforts on Wednesday. Evacuation of stranded tourists from Chaten began today at Pakyong Greenfield Airport. The two Mi-17 helicopters transported 39 evacuees from Chaten to Pakyong Airport in the first batch. Additionally, 4 passengers were safely evacuated under the Cheetah helicopter, using the Cheetah helicopter for the convenience of the tourists to commute till Siliguri. The state government has further arranged buses for their ease. Additionally, Mi-17 helicopter is on standby to assist in airlifting the stranded tourists to Bagdogra safely, ensuring support and safe transport are readily available for those in need. India's Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnav announced that Railways is set to introduce mandatory e-Aadhaar authentication for booking Tatkal train tickets. In a social media post on X, Vaishnav said that Indian Railways will soon implement e-Aadhaar authentication for Tatkal ticket bookings to ensure genuine users got confirmed tickets. The e-Aadhaar mandate will require digital identity verification during booking to prevent misuse and hoarding of Tatkal tickets and improve access for genuine passengers. This move by the Indian Railways has come after IRCTC earlier deactivated around 2.5 crore fake user IDs after a thorough probe into the sudden decline in the number of Tatkal tickets. The investigations revealed that bots and agents were misusing the Tatkal booking system. India won the presidency of the International Institute of Administrative Sciences on 3rd of June. Now, the International Institute of Administrative Sciences is a global federation of 31 countries focused on public administration. The June 3rd election this year between India and Austria saw India win with 87 out of 141 votes, gaining broad member support. Now, the election marked 2 historic firsts. The presidency was decided by ballot for the first time, and India secured the position for the first time in the Institute's 100-year history. India's presidency aims to promote unity and inclusivity by bridging the North-South divide and advancing Prime Minister Modi's vision of maximum governance, minimum government, focusing on digital empowerment and administrative reforms. Let's talk of sports updates on DD India News Hour now. We will talk of ongoing French Open Grand Slam. 3 times champion Novak Djokovic kept up his quest for a record-breaking 25th Grand Slam title. The 38-year-old battled past third seed Alexander Zverev 4-6, 6-3, 6-2, 6-4 to set up a French Open semi-final against top seed Yannick Sinner. Earlier on Wednesday, Sinner booked his spot in the last 4 with a straight sets win over Kazakh Alexander Bublik 6-1, 7-6, 6-0 and became the first Italian man to reach the 6 Grand Slam semi-finals. In women's singles, Lois Boyzan sent the Roland Garros faithful into a state of euphoria. The world number 361 conjured the unimaginable as she toppled Russian wonderkid Mira Andreeva 7-6, 6-3 to reach the French Open semi-finals. Meanwhile, Coco Gauff secured a spot in the semi-finals with a victory against fellow American Madison Keys. Both the players would like to forget the game as they broke the 100 unforced errors barrier. Gauff will face Lois Boyzan for the place in the final now. That's it in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.